Recording in progress.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of Forest Hills Council, April 17th, 2024. Could we have the Pledge of Allegiance, Mayor Porco, please?
Stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
May we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Bacon. Present. Mr. Bioki. Present. Mr. DeCosta.
Present.
Mr. Erbaldinger. Yeah. Mr. Lawrence.
Present.
Ms. Martin.
Present.
Mr. Watkins. Mayor Porco.
Here.
Ms. Whiskey, Mr. Corbel. Mr. Brett,
Present.
and I'm present as well.
We will start the public hearing as soon as the court reporter, sorry about that, comes. And we'll just continue on then. We'll start with the president's report, which I had something nice to bring up. Sometime back in January, we started discussing fencing around the playgrounds in our parks, and there was a lot of discussion from council. And we ultimately voted to have the playgrounds fenced in for safety for the children. But just in case, I wanted council to know, we had an email from the Forest Hills Nursery School, which is over by the Presbyterian Church. And this is from Elizabeth Wolf. Hello, Barbara. Yes, many of the children that attend FHNS go to the wonderful Ryan Glen Playground after class. I was so pleased to see that the area was enclosed for our children's safety. I commend Forest Hills Council for getting this accomplished and being committed to keeping our children safe. This is another reason why Forest Hills is such a wonderful family-oriented community. So I wanted to just say thank you to all of council for doing the right thing and approving that fence. This evening, there won't be an executive session, so I'm going to ask Mayor Porco for his report, please.
Thank you, Madam President. A few items to cover this evening. I'm going to go over a couple of Forest Hills Community Alliance related matters. With regards to the Forest Hills Community Alliance, tonight is yet another Forest Hills Forward community gathering meeting where they're soliciting input on what the future of Forest Hills should look like. Historically, those have been very well attended. Just about every month we've had at least 85. I remember closer to 100 attendees. Tonight's topics are air and breathability and pollution being covered. That will conclude the series of spring meetings. Then Forest Hills Community Alliance is going to take their findings that came out of those community meetings, work with Forest Hills council members over the summer to kind of start to pull together a game plan of what the future of Forest Hills will look like. We will then hold a meeting to kind of go over the results and talk about next steps in the game plan. That meeting is scheduled for September, and it will be held either here or the Forest Hills Westinghouse Rec Center, depending on so that's kind of the status on that. And we actually began site preparation this week, yesterday, clear the area where the actual band shell will go. We expect to take delivery sometime in, I think, late May. And I believe that the project is scheduled to conclude end of June, early July. And so we should hopefully have a band shell up, ready to go by end of July, early August. And working with State Senator Jay Costa, who happens to be on the board of directors for the Pittsburgh Symphony. And so we are hoping to schedule the Pittsburgh Symphony for our inaugural band shell event, kind of like our grand opening. Already sent him the dimensions for the stage. He thinks that it will work. And so we're targeting Labor Day weekend, depending on the availability of the rec center. This past Friday, had the opportunity to attend the retirement party for Steve Morris, who that evening was kind of nice. We had several local dignitaries come and read proclamations, including our U.S. Congressman Christopher DeLuzio, who represents our district, State Senator Jay Costa, and State Representative Abigail Salisbury. It was very nice to see a lot of his peers from around the county, fellow managers, et cetera, come out and support Steve. And I think it was a very nice. This past Sunday, April 14th, the Forest Hills Rotary held its annual chili cook-off. I was kind of amazed at how many people showed up to attend that. We had easily over 250 attendees at this event. We had 16 participants. We had people from as far away as Monaca enter their chili to be judged. We had a lot of local folks as well. Some people take it very seriously, and then you had idiots like me who just fixed up some chili and hoped for the best. And it was fun, no matter what. So a lot of people came together. It was very nice to see. It was a nice community event. Great to see so many people kind of catching up. All the money that was raised goes towards whatever philanthropic causes that the Forest Hills Rotary kind of gets involved in. Some of the things done this year include backpacks for families in need from the Woodland Hills School District, as well as other philanthropic projects, both local. This Saturday, April 20th, Forest Hills will hold its community cleanup day. That is scheduled from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. We will meet here, Borough Building. We will provide you with things like gloves, bags, safety vests. You get to pick your area of where you want to clean up. We will take pictures of the funkiest things you found as part of the cleanup. Those will get posted on the website. So if you have a couple of hours or even a half an hour, if you can come and just everybody participates, I think it'll next Friday, not this Friday coming, but the following April 26th is going to be our annual Arbor Day celebration, where we read a proclamation. Part of our Tree City USA requirements. We'll invite, I think, the kids from Trinity Christian Park will have a demonstration that's scheduled for the 26th. And then lastly, in about a month, on May 27th, Memorial Day. To put that out onto the calendar and post it on the website as well. But if you have an hour, it's always good to take them.
Thank you, Mayor Porco. Chief Williams, could we have the police report, please?
Thank you, President Martin. Going along with my conversations in the last few months about our traffic situation and how we've been managing that with the money we receive from the state, I just wanted to mention that our next round will probably be coming up in the next month or two. So if you missed the first round, as we had it a few weeks ago on Ardmore, then you'll probably be seeing us again out there. I don't want to advertise the day or the time, but I'm not even going to advertise that we may be down there or we may be on Greensburg Pike this time. But again, you will note that on the back of these particular agendas, you'll see the report for police service for the public, and you also will see it on the website, and you'll see some numbers on there about traffic citations issued, and you'll also notice parking tags are issued as well. Again, this time of year is spring cleanup for us, and you'll probably see some more orange stickers on cars out there because we usually try to clean up some of the vehicles that are out of inspection or vehicles that just don't really meet the requirements to be parked on the roadway, whether it be flat tires or whatever. And they're going to be seeing us with the orange tag, and we'll be placing on their car, and hopefully they're going to move it. In a lot of cases, people do take care of it and take it off the road or get it inspected. In some cases, we do have to tow them. So again, we want to give everybody plenty of warning for that. We usually do this spring and fall. So that's our plan, and you'll probably be seeing more of that in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Chief Williams. Okay, Mayor Porco read that in. Chief Colella is not present. Chief Massandrea. The solicitor's report, please, Mr. Corbel.
I have no public report this evening.
Thank you. Under the Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority. Thunderstorm warning. Ms. Braz reports the following: there were no breaks in the past month, and also the executive director of the authority is retiring at the end of May. Moving on to the committee or board reports. Mr. Bacon, do you have anything to report?
I do for Connect. Last week was the Electrify Allegheny program site visit. And the Duquesne Light Engineer, along with the Connect personnel, will be providing us 3 proposals before our next committee meetings. These would be for chargers for police vehicles, for the public works area potentially, and also potential for the park and ride down on Ardmore Boulevard. And that concludes the Connect report.
Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Bioki, do you have anything for ALOM?
I have nothing.
No, I have nothing to report.
Erbaldinger? Anything for the COG?
Nothing to report there.
Nothing? Okay, thank you. Then we're going to move on to public comment. This is for agenda items and non-agenda items as well. At this time, citizens may address council on any issue, whether appearing on today's agenda or not. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Forest Hills will be permitted to address council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before council, who may speak for a maximum of 10 minutes. Citizens are asked to use the microphone at the speaker's stand, clearly state their name and address for the record, and keep comments brief and to the point. And then please spell the name for the record. Speakers are reminded that council uses these comment periods as opportunities to gather information and not to respond directly to concerns raised. Information gathered will not be discussed at the business meeting, but instead will be referred by the council president to the appropriate committee for review and discussion at the next committee meeting. Do we have anyone that would like to speak tonight?
Thank you. I am Marilyn Gilsizer, 14 Hawthorne Road, a resident and taxpayer of Forest Hills. Hi, Council. I'm here tonight representing the Garden Club of Forest Hills. You may know that the Garden Club of Forest Hills maintains 2 community gardens. One is the Hillside Garden at the main park, and the other is the dedicated green space at the intersection of Avenues A and E. Club funds and volunteers have maintained these gardens in the past, but last year we realized we needed help from the borough to really renovate and reinvigorate these gardens to make them more sustainable and lower maintenance. So last October, the club made a funding request to council, and we did receive $10,000, which was approved. So I'm here tonight to give you an update on what we're doing with the funds that we received. At the main park, we're installing a pollinator garden. It will be adjacent to the park entrance road. Tomorrow is our pre-construction meeting with our landscaper, and he is going to do the site preparation for us, which will require him to remove some weeds and invasive plants, to relocate some shrubs, to put a small path in to get around the garden, and also to move, there's 2 benches over there. We're going to move one, just do a little bit of that. He's also going to till the soil and amend it for us. This work will happen in late April or early May. So if you see some activity there, that's what's going on. Then in late May, the club members will install about 100 perennials in that area, as well as some deer protection measures. We can only hope. So to date, we've been working at the dedicated green space at Avenues A and E a little. Our work has really been slowed because of the utility work that's been going on over there, as well as a nest of very nasty bees that Public Works is helping us with. So we'll get to that. But in the meantime, we have removed some invasive and non-native plants. And we're still continuing to explore our options for a temporary irrigation system, some sort of stabilization on the hillside, as well as really going out to a lot of native plant nurseries to look for and really survive. That's a pretty difficult situation over there. It's clay, it's a hillside, it's shady. So it's got all those things that require a lot of oomph. So I'm just here to let you know that's what we're doing, and we thank you very much. We're definitely using our money wisely. It goes through a lot of folks before we make any decisions. And if you have any comments or questions, please let me know.
Any comments or questions from council? Thank you, Marilyn.
Okay, thank you, Barb.
Anyone else tonight? Please.
My name is Bill Gorel. That's 108 Forest Glen Drive. Steve, I just sent you pictures. I didn't know if you could put them up there. You can't. I just sent them a little bit ago. I didn't think about sending them earlier. Oh, yeah, that's fine. So the property that abuts my property behind Dunkin' Donuts to Forest Glen and Fillmore is all borough property. It would be behind the fire hall and the public works garages. It is being overgrown and run down with Japanese knotweed. The Japanese knotweed I cut down and spray every year, and it is now so invasive that it's growing through my back porch patio. It's growing through the pavers. So like the borough is not maintaining their property. And it just keeps coming and coming and coming. I cut it down every year and spray it with high bad chemicals that are like, that you can't buy at the store. So like, can the borough maintain theirs? It's like coming onto Fillmore as well by the trees that are in a line that are across from St. Maurice. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's getting pretty bad. So I don't think it's ever been, they've never been cut. And the only way to get rid of Japanese knotweed, if anyone knows, you have to dig it out by the root, which is attached to a rock or a stick underground between 6 to 12 inches and put it in a black garbage bag. But if you don't get the entire root, whatever it's attached to, it's going to grow right back up. Every year.
Well, unfortunately, tonight, the Chair of Public Works is not present, but we will address your issue.
I also have another issue too. It's 419 Avenue D. They're like, the garbage men aren't picking up my garbage. But I've been paying garbage for 3 years. And all of a sudden they're like not picking it up. Well, they've never picked it up, but I've started putting garbage out, regular garbage, not building materials, and they're like not taking it. I'm the only can that like doesn't get taken on the street. But when you own a house in Forest Hills, you have to pay. It's not like Churchill where you can opt out. So I would like to have that addressed as well.
Mr. Morris, could we look into that, please?
Yeah, Avenue D.
And I never got your photos, so if you want me to show them to council later or
Yeah,
something,
it might still be going through because I
Okay.
think I just turned my Wi-Fi off from in here because it was connecting. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, hi.
Hello, my name's Chloe Newman. I live at 235 Trenton Avenue. I've been here several times before just to talk about the road, Trenton Avenue. It's kind of a weird one and it's set back. But every time I come, I'm just talking about the condition of the road. It keeps getting worse and worse. I'm up at the top of it and it's pretty gravelly. There actually was last fall or last summer, I received a notice in my mailbox that they would no longer be delivering my mail because they had had casualties from the postal workers trying to get up the road, trying to get down the road. So I actually had to move my mailbox to the bottom of the street. And now that's an inconvenience for me, but I don't want any more casualties. And I've also had people drive up the road thinking it's a different road. There's many other Trentons in Pittsburgh. So people will put in the wrong one to GPS. They come up the road. They can't find their way down. I've had to call AAA a few times. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But I last time I was here was told that paving and that kind of construction planning happens around this time. So I just wanted to come back as a reminder and to plead once again to please put Trenton Avenue onto that paving map. Awesome. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. I did want to say, yeah, last time I do appreciate the paving that happened last fall. That did help quite a bit, but it's already starting to degrade. So
We didn't forget about you.
that's why I'm here, just to make sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please.
Brian McGann, 14 Niagara Road. Just here, I was here last month, to see if there's any update on the deer situation. Is there anybody that has anything to tell me? No.
Mr. Bioki, would you care to comment on that?
I think we should just stick to our policy of not commenting.
Thank you. We'll be in touch. Anybody else? Thank you. Should we go back to the court? Okay, Mr. Morris?
So Ted was confused as to the date and is not able to attend. However, because the meeting is being recorded audio, YouTube, he will be able to make a transcript if necessary from those recordings. So don't do anything to the recordings, keep them.
usually don't. I
I
actually
know.
listen to them all the time.
I know that. So with that, if there's no objections from council, we'll move into the public hearing at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Corbel.
So first things first, for council, I left at your place a memorandum that has a list of our typical conditions of approval. They're very typical: compliance with laws, compliance with permits and approvals. The approval expires in a year, reimbursement of borough review fees, failure to comply. They're in all of our conditional use approvals. And then secondly, there is a joint hearing exhibit list for both of the applications, just so you can follow along. With that, and if there are no questions from council, I will call to order the conditional use hearings on two conditional use applications by Mellor House 5 LLC and Mellor House 6 LLC. Other than the applicant, is there anyone here tonight that is seeking party status for the hearing? Okay, very good. At this point, if you are going to testify or if you are going to make a public comment, we'll need to swear you in. or you're making a presentation on behalf of the applicant. So anybody that wants to speak, please stand and raise your right hand. I state your name. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Put a little bit of information on the record, and then Mr. Caldwell, you can stand at the podium if you'd like, and then you can make your presentation. The first conditional use application was submitted by Meller House 5 LLC. It's for a property located at 509 Atlantic Avenue, Allegheny County Block number 373-E-90. It's in the borough's R3 zoning district. The property is currently improved with a duplex. At the time Meller House 5 LLC purchased 509 Atlantic, the dwelling unit was a single-family property. Meller House 5 then renovated and remodeled the dwelling to a duplex with 2 rental units. Conditional use approval is sought to utilize the property as a conversion dwelling under Table 27-1 of the zoning ordinance, which permits the conversion of a dwelling use by conditional use in the R3 zoning district. The applicant tonight must show compliance with sections 27-904 of the zoning ordinance, which states the general use criteria, and section 27-905 1L, which states the specific conditional use criteria. The second conditional use application was submitted by related entity Meller House 6 LLC for a property located at 501 Atlantic Avenue, Allegheny County Block and Lot numbers 373-E-186. It's in the borough's R3 zoning district as well. It's currently improved. At the time Meller House 6 LLC purchased 501 Atlantic, the dwelling unit was utilized as a triplex with 3 rental units. The applicant then renovated and remodeled the dwelling to a duplex with 2 rental units. Conditional use approval was sought to utilize the property as a conversion dwelling under Table 27-1 of the zoning ordinance, which permits the conversion dwelling use by conditional use in the R3 zoning district. Again, the applicant must show compliance with sections 27-904, the general use criteria, and 27-905 1L, the specific conditional use criteria. Notice of tonight's hearing was advertised and provided to the applicant and neighboring property owners pursuant to the requirements of the Pennsylvania Municipality Planning Code. Second, Borough Council exhibits A through J, which are referenced on the joint hearing exhibit list, are entered into the record of the hearing as if they were read into the record directly. The court reporter will insert those exhibits into the transcript as if I read the list into the record. Okay, now we will take them one at a time. We will start with 509 Atlantic, which is Meller House 5. Mr. Caldwell, you have the floor.
Thank you. Members of the council, I have a presentation basically that I made to the Planning Commission. It's hard for me to separate out 509 and 501. Same presentation. You have before you, as Mr. Carpel said, 2 conversion dwelling requests. One for 501 Atlantic Avenue, the other for 509 Atlantic Avenue. Properties are on the west or downhill side of the street, 2 houses apart. Madam President, I have with me copies, hard copies of the requests themselves, as well as a drawing. Discussion that we might have. Do I have?
Thank you, please.
Okay, that sounds better. So I think it would be helpful to the council if I provided some background to these two conversion requests before I went in. Two properties are owned by separate LLCs, but both LLCs are owned in turn by a single holding LLC, which is called McCullough Scott Holdings LLC. McCullough Scott Holdings LLC is in turn is owned by two first cousins of mine, Kate Luckett, who is the managing member of the LLC and who has lived in Pittsburgh for many years, and Rosina Dixon, who lives in New Jersey and is the other member. I am a first cousin of them both, and part of my career has been as a banker. I have been providing them with financial and other advice over the last 5 years since I moved to Pittsburgh. Last year, I was elected a director of the company. Starting with 501 Atlantic on the corner of Atlantic. If you can see that easily on the history there is that Kate Luckett bought it in 2020. At that time, it had 3 units, each with a kitchen and bath, although now we know that the borough records had no record of there being 3 units there. Kate reduced them to 2 units when the property was inspected by the borough's building inspector last year. Some adjustments were required, which Kate made, and it passed inspection after those adjustments were made. However, the borough issued a notice of violation because in its records, the property was a single unit. So that's what we're talking about today. I mentioned Kate reduced the number of living units in the building from 3 to 2, cleaned up and painted the units, and has been renting them out for not less than a month at a time as per borough ordinances. Made aware of last year, in fact, and how also as required by the borough. Only 1 unit at presently is being made available by rent. The borough ordinance 27904 requires that a property making application for conditional use approval as a conversion property meet in front of you. Describes how, in the case of 501 Atlantic, those stand. More generally, Kate has used her ownership of the property to improve greenery around the front porch on Atlantic, old bamboo plants in the backyard, removing out of control bamboo plants in the backyard, going down the hill along Marion Avenue. And very important, she has not changed the exterior footprint of the building. The property is zoned R3, medium density residential. It is correct, as noted in the application, that Kate did not apply for a permit at the time that she was improving the building in 2020 and 2021. Unfortunately, she was not aware of the need to do so, and the borough did not have a building inspector at that time. But also, as I mentioned, both units passed inspection last year by the new borough inspector, apart from this issue of not having permission for it to be a conversion dwelling. Our unit at 501 Atlantic, by the way, is occupied by a research scientist at the University of Pittsburgh, who's been there over 2 years. We're keeping the upper unit vacant, but as you can see, we're adding to the quality of people that we have here in Forest Hills. Let me now turn to 509 Atlantic. Here, the background is somewhat different. When Kate bought it in 2017, it was being used as a single unit. Kate, who was a master gardener, planted a good deal of shrubbery in the back, and in the process, noticed that there was an attractive garden view from down below. So she made the necessary changes to the lower unit, and after making the further changes required by the borough's building inspector last year to both the upper and lower units, they were passed by him, except for the fact that the property was not approved as a duplex, and therefore, again, the present conversion dwelling request. As in the case of 501 Atlantic, Appendix A of the 509 Atlantic request summarizes the property's compliance with the standards set by Borough Zoning Ordinance 27-904. Also, as in the case of 501 Atlantic, no changes have been made to the exterior footprint of the building. And as it happens, both units at 501 are presently vacant, but we are very aware of the necessity that we can only rent one of the two units until we get approval from the council for them to be treated as a duplex. In concluding, I would like to stress that in both cases, Kate took two properties that were badly maintained and unattractive when looked at from the street and greatly improved not only their interior presentation, but also their external appearance, thereby improving the neighborhood. So on balance, our recommendation is that the council approve these two requests, and I'm prepared to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. At this point, are there any questions or comments from members of Mr. Erbaldinger?
Notice that 501 has like, if I count right, these 7 parking spots.
Right.
And I assume 509 doesn't have any. Are you planning to make some of those access spots available for 509 tenants?
That actually is a discussion that we had at the Planning Commission. 509 does have a parking space to its left. Parking is allowed on the street, by the way, so conceivably that would do it. But on the Atlantic Avenue side of 501, there's a big area that would hold 4 cars parking, 2 and 2, with 2 in front and 2 in back. As you go down Marion, there is an integral garage, which holds another car. And then McCullough Scott Holdings also owns the next property, which is a 2-car garage. All of those 7 spaces would be made available to a second person renting a unit at 509 Atlantic if that person wished. So there would be no negative impact on the parking situation on Atlantic Avenue if the council approved this request.
Okay, any other questions or comments from Borough Council? Mr. DeCrosta, just, I'll give you special recognition, just making sure. Okay, yeah, just, you're on Zoom, so I know that can be difficult. Okay, if there are no questions, anything else, Mr. Caldwell, before we close?
Let me just mention something else. The borough issued something called a private criminal complaint against the LLC holding 509 Atlantic Avenue to be adjudicated by the magisterial court. The complaint includes 3 separate dockets. The first is that 509 Atlantic is used as a duplex, although it's zoned by Forest Hills as a single family property. The second is that 501 Atlantic is used as a duplex, although zoned by Forest Hills Borough as a single family property. And the third is that at 532 Atlantic Avenue, a deck and stairs combination behind the property does not meet all the code requirements for a fire escape. The issues underlying the first 2 dockets will have been taken care of at today's meeting of the Borough Council. Regarding the third, Kate Luckett is actively working with a contractor and a structural engineer to prepare plans to be presented to the borough for the issuance of a permit for the replacement of the structure behind 532 Atlantic. Unfortunately, the structural engineer states that he's backed up and it will be several weeks before he can focus on these plans. It can be reasonably argued that Kate Luckett took too long to deal with this violation after it was first identified by the building inspector. But she's actively working on it now. The first 2 issues have been dealt with associated with the private criminal, whatever it's called. And I think that it would make sense for the borough to withdraw its citation and its private criminal complaint. And I can assure you that McCullough Scott Holdings LLC will work with all possible dispatch to resolve this third violation. Thank you, Madam President, members of the Borough Council. I appreciate this chance to talk to you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Lawrence and seconded by Mr. Erbaldinger. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. The hearing is closed. Council, now you have the opportunity if you'd like to make a decision, or we can wait till the Planning Commission recommended approval. My office sees no reason why approval should not occur as well. So I do have some motions prepared that I can read into the record if someone would like me to move in that direction. Okay, then I will read a motion. Somebody should make it and then second it. There'll be two motions, one for each of the applications. So first, motion to approve the application filed by Mellor House 5 LLC requesting conditional use approval to utilize the property as a conversion dwelling under table 27-1, section 27-904 and 27-9051L and part 9 of the Borough zoning ordinance, which permits the conversion dwelling use by conditional use in the R3 zoning district for property located at 509 Atlantic Avenue, block and lot number 373-E-190 within the borough's R3 zoning district, in accordance with the application materials, plans, testimony, and exhibits accepted into the hearing record by council and subject to the conditions set forth in the Borough Solicitor's memorandum dated April 17th, 2024, which was entered into the hearing record as Exhibit J.
Second, is there a second?
I
think so moved.
So moved.
Who did what?
Mr. Lawrence, right?
He did.
Okay, I'll second then.
You can ask.
Okay.
This is our first one together, so.
All right, then could we have a roll call vote, please?
Aiken,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki. Yes. Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins. I'm sorry, President Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries. And then we'll make a similar motion to approve the application filed by Mellor House 6 LLC requesting conditional use approval to utilize the property as a conversion dwelling under table 27-1, section 27-904, section 27-9051L and part 9 of the zoning ordinance, which permits the conversion dwelling use by conditional use in the R3 zoning district for property located at 501 Atlantic Avenue, block and lot number 373-E-186 within the borough's R3 zoning district, and in accordance with the application materials, plans, testimony, and exhibits accepted into the hearing record by council and subject to the conditions set forth in the Borough Solicitor's memorandum dated April 17th, 2024, which was entered into the hearing record as Exhibit J.
So moved.
Second.
Now we have.
Do we have a vote, please, then? A roll call vote?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki. Yes. Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
That's the end. Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on then to our committee reports. Operations and Policy, Mr. Lawrence?
Thank you, Madam President. I move to approve the minutes from the March 2024 council meeting.
Are there any comments? We have a second?
Second.
Can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
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 I move to approve resolution number 1114, listing records for disposal under the State Records Act as follows. The list is there in the agenda.
Second.
Are there any comments? Will we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki? Yes. Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
And move to accept the bid for tree services, including pruning, removal, and arborist consultation from Horhut Tree Experts at a cost not to exceed amounts shown in the tree budget in the borough's general fund, pending receipt of proof of insurance, assigned agreement, and other pending documentation acceptable to the borough solicitor.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki? Yes. Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Let's move on to the Finance Committee. Mr. Erbaldinger?
Thank you, President Martin. I have a move to approve payment of bills for the month of March in the following amounts. General fund budget, 691,000. Corrective action budget, 370,000. Fire protection fee, 72,000. Capital improvement plans, 10,000. And 2015 bond issue, 3,900.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki? Yes. Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Next motion, move to approve payment of March bills to Siemens for $50,315 from the ESCO fund under the contract between the borough and Siemens.
Second.
Roll call vote, or I'm sorry, comments from anyone? Then a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki? Yes. Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
And my general report can be read in the agenda. That concludes finance.
Thank you, Mr. Erbaldinger. Moving on to Borough Property, Mr. Bacon?
Thank you, Madam President. I move to ratify the committee's decision to replace the air conditioning unit in the data room at a cost not to exceed $9,500 with funds coming from the building fund.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call vote, please?
Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I move to ratify the committee decision to hire Rick Jump as the low bidder for pool caulking work not to exceed $18,000.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki? Yes. Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I would like to point out just a change against the agenda wording up on the next motion. The low bidder is not the company Generac. The company is JM General Maintenance to replace with a Generac brand 18 kilowatt generator, just to clarify. I move to authorize Mr. Reamer to hire low bidder JM General Maintenance at a cost of $10,077.57 to replace the old generator at the swimming pool lodge.
Second.
Any other comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki?
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I move to approve resolution number 1115, endorsing the application for a DCNR grant for the project entitled Forest Hills Borough Community Inventory and management plan.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any comments?
Could we clarify what that application is for?
Yes, this is via the Tree and Shrub Committee to have a grant to essentially build a full inventory of trees.
Thank you.
And this resolution follows an application for the grant which is already submitted. Any other comments? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bacon,
Yes,
Mr. Baroki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Erblinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
I move to approve the hire of the following lifeguards for the pool. And there are three part-time lifeguards listed on the agenda.
Second.
Could we have a roll call, comments, please, sorry. A roll call vote then, please?
Bacon,
Yes,
Mr. Baroki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erblinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Yes.
next, if we could have a brief report from Mr. Brett, please.
Yes, I did just send out a updated schedule on the Westinghouse Lodge. We did get our asbestos clearance on Tuesday. The contractor was indicating they would finish the main room after the end of May, but now it finishes at the end of May, basically the last day. So that's a good sign. They are currently removing the interior fireplace. Demolition of the restrooms, if you look in, is basically complete, and the rough plumbing should be going in this week. The roofing contractor is working on the roof currently. You'll see they're taking the wooden shakes off around the building. After they get that done and that prepped, they're going to move over to the pavilion and get that completed. And the railing is completed other than one piece. Come in, it was too short by about 8 inches. So they're working on solving that to get put in. That's on the front. You'll see yellow tape around it. The gap's just a little bigger than what's allowed by code. So they have to rectify that. The rest of the railing looks extremely good. I don't know if anybody's looked at it, but it turned out very nice. So they're all done except for that one piece. Once they get that, we'll do a final inspection and get a final bill from them. The fireplace on the exterior, they're about 75% completed. I would expect that to be done over the next couple of days. The playground is done. The rubberized material around it's done. I did speak to Public Works today. They have the lawn restoration around it to complete. And Jimmy said, depending on all this weather, they would hope to get that done next week, because our goals while the rest of this stuff's going on, if we can get the yard work done around that, get the grass to grow. So once you do open the facility back up, we have a nice stand of grass. So, but as we thought last week, there is a lot of contractors on site, and we hope that continues over the next couple of weeks. So any questions?
Mr. Erblinger?
How is this going with the planning for opening on time? Is everything tracking?
The main.
Ending the porta potties and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a schedule I sent out, as far as we were waiting on them to say that they could be completed with the main room in May, at the end of May. They did provide that today. It's very tight schedule wise. So the next step would be, if you want to move forward with the restroom, I did get the ADA version, sent that over to Steve with cost. You have to go on and register for signing up an account, and then schedule that to be delivered the week before. And then I think it is appropriate to do, as you indicated last month. I would send notices to everybody that has a rental, indicate what the condition would be. The main room's available, restrooms are outside, and let people make their own decision what they want to do from that point. So, but right now we're positive movement. The borough made a phone call to help with the final asbestos check. Walt called the health department. They take about a week after everything's clear. Contractor called the second they were finished. It went on a normal schedule, and they bumped it up to 2 days. So the county was very responsive, got out there and they were at 8 o'clock on Tuesday and at 8:15 we had a clearance. So that helped the schedule quite a bit over the last week. So any other questions?
Ricky? Thank you, Mr. Brett. On the playground, it appears that it's irregularly shaped.
Yes.
Does that require any edging to maintain that, or
No.
is putting the lawn up against it sufficient?
The detail changed about 10 years ago. We used to do an edging. But now they transition it down as you see, and then you bring the topsoil around it up to grade, so that it's actually underneath the topsoil around it. And when